Okay, first we'll start by looking at the main markets. So if I click on this button here and let's go to tile. Okay, so here's the main markets. We can see here we got the S&P 500. This is the Dow Jones. This is the Nasdaq, the technology market. This is the Russell 2000. Not going to pay too much attention to that one first of all. So let's have a look at these three. But first of all, if you look at all four of them, you can see that they are very similar. They're all following a very similar chart pattern. Markets don't always follow each other, but at the moment they are. So if we look at one, we'll pretty much know what's going on with all of them. I should say, in this live trading session, I'm gonna look at the markets. We need to do that because we've got to know what way generally things are going. We've got to have some kind of opinion on that. But I'm not going to get into sectors in this session. Probably in next month's live trading session, I'm going to do quite a focus on sectors because it's very, very powerful, and I can show you an excellent way for analysing sectors. They do have a big influence on your shares and the companies you buy, so you need to know how to do that. But we'll save it for next month's live trading session because this time I want to focus on really the shares, looking at the companies, doing the analysis. I want to show you how you can make money just by doing simple technical analysis on the shares. We're going to learn a few tricks of what we can do there, and I want to get in to buy some shares and show you how all of that side of things work. So we're going to leave the sectors for next month, probably next month's session. It is very, very important, and we need to cover it, but for now we'll keep things simple. So let's have a look at the markets. We got the S&P 500 here. Let's bring that into full screen. And we can see all of you, well, those of you who've been following the markets will know what's been happening. The market's been going down for quite a long time. And over the last few months, they've been going up. This is March, April, May, and just coming into June there. And you can see the market's going up quite nicely. Yeah, we've had a good run. So let's have a look. What do we think is going to happen next? If I zoom in, actually, let's leave the chart as it is. We want to know. I'm going to be looking for shares in a moment, and I want to be making ideally between 10 to 20% profit in the next few weeks. That's what I'm aiming for. If we can make even 10% profit in a month on a share, fantastic. How many funds make 10% in a month? None whatsoever. That you'd be lucky to make. Well, right now you'd be lucky to make any percent return in a year on a fund. But basically we're looking for some nice moves, some nice quick moves. So I want to know what's going to be happening in the next maybe 2-3 weeks time. So let's have a look at the markets. Looking at the S&P 500. First of all, it's been going down, it's now going up. I'll draw on some trend lines. So where's the major support and resistance? You can see there's a bit of resistance here. Just to remind ourselves, resistance, it's areas where when the share reaches that level, it tends to bounce and come back down. And the opposite of that, of course, is support. And support, for example, we've got a little bit of short-term support here, is areas where the share, when it gets down to that level, it tends to bounce and go back up. So, first of all, how strong is this resistance level here? The strength of a resistance level is to do with how many touches the share price is made on that resistance level, how big those touches are. So, for example, that's quite a big peak there. That's quite a small peak there, and the length of the trend line. So, also the more horizontal the trend line, you can see this is a horizontal trend line. If you had a very steep trend line, then it's not so strong. So this trend line here, okay, it's reasonably strong, but not massively strong. This one here, it's just a very short-term support level. So if the share came down to there, it'd be quite likely to break through and go down. So what do we think's happening? It's at a resistance level and it's gone back down. Has it done a 50% retracement, Fibonacci? Let's have a look. It looks like it's actually done. It's not quite at the 50% yet. So if I go to Fibonacci and we have a look, to draw Fibonacci lines, if you remember, you start from the top of the move, you come down to the bottom of the move like this, and then it draws the lines. If you can see, this is the 50% line here, which most shares, when they drop, quite often they'll bounce about 50% before they stop, and they'll usually pause here or sometimes come back down. Now, it's not quite there yet. Will it get there? Well, not necessarily, but it's a nice place to know about. So, what do we think's happening? I want to... It's at this resistance level, so the question is it going to break through? Is it going to keep going up, or is it changing direction? Just looking at the share price... By the way, I should have said, these indicators here that I've got are 3 moving averages. If we look up here, I've got the 10, 20, and 40-day moving average. They're all exponential. The share price is still above the moving averages, which is good. They haven't crossed going down yet, so moving averages are saying it's still fine. Now, the market has moved quite a long way. What I want to do actually, I'm going to have a look at a few of the indicators to help me tell what's going on. At the moment, there's no major chart pattern saying it's going to go down. It looks like it is pulling back slightly here. It's at I'd say a weak to medium resistance level, and it's not quite at the Fibonacci. So yeah, it's a potential turning point, but it's not a massively strong one. So it could keep going up, or if this resistance level holds, it could start going down. So I'm not too sure. I want to look at the indicators to see if they help me tell what's going on. I'll look at MACD first, or MACD as some people call it. So if you remember, this is showing me the acceleration of the share price. And so we can see if the share's going up, I want to look at the peaks of the MACD. And I can see there's a big acceleration here as the share starts, as the market starts to go up. Then a smaller acceleration, and then that's about the same level. But in general, the MACD is coming down over this period, which means the market's slowing down in this move, which quite often can indicate is getting ready to turn and come down. So if anything, MACD is saying the market's slowing, could be getting ready to turn. I'll look at RSI. RSI, if it's above the midline is actually this faint one here at 50. This line here is the midline. If it's above the midline, it's generally good. If it's below, it's bad. And you can draw what's called divergences on the RSI as well. This is getting a bit advanced, but you know this stuff, so we can do this. So the market's been coming up like this. What I do is I draw a line on the resistance, on the RSI, which we can see the peaks are generally coming down like this. This is going up, this is coming down. It's a divergence, which again says if anything the market is getting ready to come down. We can look at stochastics. I've got fast stochastics there and slow stochastics. I want to look at slow stochastics to see what's happening over this kind of weekly time period. So here, you remember with stochastics, if they cross going down, it means that the share is weak and should turn. If they cross going up, it's strong in the share or market should go up. It's crossing coming down there, still coming down. It's now, we don't really know what's happening. It's crossing kind of, you could say yes, it's crossing going up, but I don't know. Really, if it's crossing going up, we want it to be crossing going up down in this level here. If you remember, the buy signals, the further down here they are, the stronger they are, and the sell signals, the further up here they are, the stronger they are. This isn't really a buy signal at all. It should be down here somewhere. So we don't really know what's happening here. If anything, I'd say it's slightly negative because it's had a couple of sell signals up here. Volume, we won't have volume because it's the market. We could get volume for certain markets. I haven't got the volume for the S&P, so let's have a look. What do we think? In general, I'd say from the indicators, things are looking fairly weak for the market. Now, the other markets, if we go back so we can see all of the markets, yeah, they're all fairly similar. If anything, the Nasdaq is maybe slightly stronger because it actually gapped up. If you look, just zoom in, it actually jumped, did what we call a gap there, which is generally a stronger sign. So it's looking a bit stronger. And also, if you look at the Nasdaq, it's above this resistance level. It's actually jumped above it. So it's looking stronger. But I can't imagine that the Nasdaq would actually do any different to all of the other markets. If they go down, Nasdaq's going to go down as well. So I think it's going to follow what they do. So if we go back to all the markets, now we got to try and come to some kind of conclusion here, because that's going to influence the shares we're looking for. Generally, I will be looking for what I call a balanced portfolio. I want to check I've got shares in different sectors, not necessarily all the same sector, because that's not a very balanced portfolio. I also want to check that I've got shares to make money as they go up, and I also want to make some money as shares go down. So I'm going to short some shares, and I'm also going to buy some shares. It can make a big influence on how much money you make, how profitable you are, just if you get your portfolio balanced correctly, because then it protects you whatever happens to the market. If the market goes down or up or sideways, as long as you set up your portfolio correctly, you can still make money.